time I step to the mic and push play, I make your mind go crazy. Some shit that's real. My legendary status been sealed. E-on-me music, giving you some shit you can feel. You gon' learn today.
Yo, what up, though? What up, though? What's up, Sasha?
Hey, what's going on?
Everything good. How's the week been?
It's been busy, but I'm here.
Okay, what you got going on?
Oh my gosh, what don't I have going on? Accounting, onboarding with the new loan team,
Okay.
you could say. Tax season prep.
Okay.
And I need to do some content.
Okay.
Because as I'm preparing and doing some tax planning for some clients, it's making me realize like how much I want to talk about those types of things on my page, especially before the year ends. Because once December 31st comes, there is no more planning. Like you're moving into the prep stage, but I don't think people really know the difference. So yeah.
I'm hoping. Were you able to hear me just now?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't know what microphone I was using because I just don't know what microphone I was using. So I can hear myself. I mean, it was showing that I was talking. So hopefully everybody heard the first part of but even though I didn't say much, so I was letting you talk. So I think I was telling you about this, but I'm gonna let everybody else know I was on a podcast last night that went live with young lady Miss Hollywood. Her name of her show is The Chat with Miss Hollywood. So I was on that show yesterday. Go check her out. I'm gonna put her page up real quick on YouTube so people can see it. And we talked about a couple different things. I may be back on the show again at some point.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, maybe back on this again. But this is her. That's her information, her page right there. The Chat with Miss Hollywood. I met her through a good friend of mine from high school that is also on the show. And I came on and just, did a little collaboration with them and everything like that. So that's that. So you have something that you want to talk to us about today.
Oh my goodness. You always put me on the spot.
Hey, I mean, you told me you want to talk about it. And how do you want me to do this? Do you want me to play the video first, or do you want to introduce it?
I'll say play the video. It's just a video that I came across, and of course I shared it with you. I thought it would be a nice topic to talk about since I don't ever really have a topic off of mine. I feel like, you're really the host. I come on to help you. But when I heard
we are co-host, we doing this together.
You too kind, but okay. I'm just like, you do this and I'm trying this, okay? But I would say when I came across the video, it reminded me of my belief or something I've said, but I never knew that it was tied to quantum physics, if I'm mistaken. Is that how she phrased it? So yeah, play the video.
Okay, I'm gonna play the video real quick.
Then I could.
I'm gonna play the video real quick and see what they're talking about.
A whole year of studying quantum physics. Here's everything I learned. Hi, my name is Niken. I'm Nikki. I study all things neuroscience. Let's do it. I want to preface this by saying first, science is simply logical spirituality. You don't attract what you want, ever. You attract who you are. Let's get into it. In the quantum field, every possibility exists at once. There's a version of you that's healed, that's rich, that's fabulous, that's married, that has children, whatever your heart desires. If it's in your heart, it's because there's a version of you that's already living that experience. Your job is to align with that version if you want to quantum leap. Number two, reality bends to your emotions. Your feelings, they're not just sensations, they're frequencies. When your nervous system believes something, the whole universe rearranges itself to match it. Three, you're never experiencing the world, you're always experiencing your nervous system. I want to repeat that. You're never experiencing reality. You're always experiencing your nervous system. That's why two people can live the same exact day, the same exact situation, and have two different memories of it. Number four, observation creates reality. The moment you focus on something, you collapse infinite possibilities into one timeline. That's manifestation backed by neuroscience. Next, your thoughts are electrical. Your emotions are magnetic, and together they broadcast your frequency, and life mirrors it right back to you. It starts up here. Whatever you're thinking up here, it's what you're seeing in your reality. My absolute favorite. People people say moving silence is because science backs it up. The second you tell everyone your dreams, you invite their energy, their doubts, their projections into your quantum field. Protect it. You are limitless until you're explaining yourself. Think about it. If you ask a child, what do you want to be today? They're like, I want to be Santa, I want to be Superman, because they believe it. The children are limitless until reality, until we start saying, like, no, you can't actually be that. So when you are trying to accomplish something, keep it to yourself, because once you invite so much energy into your quantum field, it is over. Quantum field does not respond to begging. Never. It only responds to certainty and certainty only. The frequency of it's done bends reality faster than the frequency of please. So that's why I always say when you're praying to God, don't ever go, God, please. Always decree and always declare. Always command the universe to work in your favor. Our brain does not know the difference between reality, visualization, memory, pretending. It does not know. It cannot tell the difference. That's why visualization is the strongest tool you can ever use to manifest something. Because if you can see it in your head and you can play the movie in your head, eventually you will have that life because your brain thinks it's already happening. Anyway, time is not linear. The future, the past, the current time, they all coexist in the quantum field at the same time. You can go into your past, and rewrite your story at any time because it's right now. It's happening right now. Your past is happening right now. Your future is happening right now. Right now it's happening right now. Time is not linear. You can jump back and forth as you please. And last but not least, and my absolute favorite, the biggest illusion humans have is separation. You're not a person inside the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself. Period. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So walk with confidence every single day. Hold your head out every single day. Speak less and feel more because the quantum field doesn't listen to your words. It listens to your vibration. And I want to leave you with this. The closer I got to God, the more that I realized that science, especially neuroscience, is simply the language he uses to explain his miracles to us. I believe in you, and I pray you always believe in yourself. Stay fabulous.
All right. All right. So what do you got to say about that?
I brought the video to you. What do you have to say about? I'm messing. I guess the one thing that kind of stuck out to me is a lot of those things I kind of already felt, but didn't really know how to explain them. And when I would have certain conversations with people about just kind of how I live my life, things I don't worry about, and how even when I get stressed, I'm like, you know what? I don't know how it's going to work out, but I just know things are going to work out how they're supposed to. So it's like a lot of things that you say and you just think maybe it's faith, maybe it's just, whatever you've kind of grown up to believe. But hearing this whole quantum physics side of it was very interesting. And then I kind of like some of the other things that she was saying that kind of give you hope.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because even before I knew anything about quantum physics, I felt that, you have to kind of think positive. Okay. Because if you start thinking negative, that stuff is coming back to you. And all I knew was like, okay, that's either manifestation, speaking into existence, law of attraction. Again, I don't really know. I just know that when I was younger, I used to stress about things and then they would always work out. So I quickly just was like, let me just stop stressing. But that concept is so foreign to our people because of all of the things that we're thrown at, that gets thrown at us every day. I think it's almost easier said than done, but to hear you talk about this from a scientific standpoint, I just wanted to have the conversation and,
Okay. I mean, so I'm gonna say I remember about 2 years, maybe about 2-3 years ago. It was in 2023, so 2 years ago. I was watching a movie. I'm not gonna say who this actress is. She does a lot of black movies. And I was watching the movie and just on a humbug, I would say a couple months before that, I was watching the show that she was on, and I was like, man, she fine in the mug. I'm gonna meet her. I just kind of said it, And so then I'm watching the movie again. I'm watching another show or a movie or something that she's in. I think I was watching one of her movies that she's in. And I was watching and I was like, oh, she's so fine. I'm gonna meet her one day. And so the next day I go to work. We walk down to this store from work. We walk down the store. I'm walking through the store, walking through this little market or whatever. And I just happen to look up and I see the lady. And I walked up to her and I said, you know, I'm one of your biggest fans. And she said, you are. And so we got to talking and everything. And you know, end up exchanging numbers so that we could, you know, find out she was trying to do some real estate and stuff like that, and things like and you know, and that was where it was at, right? Nothing ever came of the real estate deal and stuff like that, but I think she's still trying to get some things together. But what came out of that for me was like I literally manifested that situation. Mm-hmm. Like I literally spoke that situation into being. It surprised the hell out of me because I was just like, you know, I was just and it's funny because there's been a few other actresses and that I have watched and not that I said I was gonna meet these people, but this has been a few other actors that I've watched and have watched a lot and have met them. And don't get me wrong, I know Atlanta is a place where you know, you got a lot of actresses, especially Black Hollywood, a lot of actresses and actors here. But I mean, the way I meet them is just like because I don't really go out a lot and do a lot of stuff like that. I don't go to places where that, you know, to clubs and stuff like that where I might see these people. I'm seeing these people on just I might be doing something for the fire department or something like that, and I just happen to run across somebody. It's kind of funny to me how I run across these people. But yeah, that was, you know, I do believe that the things that you want, you have to be intentional about speaking positive about those things and working towards making those things happen, and they will. I do believe that. But I know you said you wrote down some notes, so I want you to go through your what you got, and then let's talk about it.
Okay, well, before I do that, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
What would you say about the naysayers that would be like, well, that's just coincidence?
Well, I mean, you know what? It could have been, and I'll let them have that. You know what I'm saying? I'll let them have that. I can't. You can't change somebody's mind that don't want their mind to be changed. You know, at the end of the day, I've met a lot of super or what you would call superstars in my day. Detroit, it's a meme going around in Detroit where that says that, you know, people in Detroit, when we meet superstars, we're not really fazed by it because it's like shoot, we think we superstars. So when we meet them, we're like, man, you know, it ain't no hate or nothing. It ain't like, ooh, you know, forget that. It ain't like that. It's just like, but it is like we think we superstars. So it's like, you know, cool. Glad you're doing your thing. I like that guy. He's doing his thing, but we don't go crazy because we meet somebody. You know, I remember it was nothing to go to Northland Mall back in the late 80s, early 90s, and just see a famous singer or any, you know, Anita Baker, the Winans family. It was nothing to go to Northland and see that. It was nothing to be down on Jefferson and see Isaiah Thomas driving down in his drop top Benz. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you can say it was a coincidence, but it's kind of weird that it's a coincidence that one night I said it and then the next morning it was happening. I can't lie. I mean, I would love to be able to say that and be like, I'm a millionaire, and tomorrow I wake up and there's $1 million at the door. That would be just lovely, you know what I'm saying? But I will say this: I have said things that over time has come to pass for me, and I will say that if we want to say it's coincidence or we want to say I work towards it, but I don't think if I wouldn't have said it and spoken to myself that I wouldn't have worked towards it. I think I would have been still just trying to do other things. I work towards those things to happen. And they happened because I spoke it and then I worked towards it. I do believe that there's a certain work you have to do. Let's say even in that situation, let's say I didn't necessarily want to walk down the street to that market, but had I not walked down the street to that market, I wouldn't have met the girl. You know what I'm saying? So we could say that, hey, you know, it was a coincidence. I still had to put a little work in. I walked down the market. I didn't want to walk down there. But I did. They was like, we're going to the market. I was like, I guess I'll go down there with y'all. And we happened to meet up with somebody. It was funny because the guys was like, man, they thought I was kicking line. They thought I was kicking game to her because I said I was her favorite fan.
Yeah.
And they was like, man, I got to use that one. I was like, no. She an actress, man. I was like, I wasn't really trying to kick line to kick game with her. I was literally saying like, she one of my favorite actresses.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked is because I've had a situation like that happen to me where I remember, this was nobody famous. This was actually one of my previous neighbors.
Okay.
And I was going to an event, and for some reason they just popped in my head. I'm like, I have not seen them in a while, right? It's a couple. And so then I got there, like something else happened and made me think of them. And then I got there to the event and somebody asked me about this festival that they have here in Charlotte called the Do-Rag Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And these were the people that, like, the first time I ever heard of it, it was the same couple. So I thought about them 3 times in that day. And then probably about an hour later after that last time, I ran into them at the event I was in. Okay. And it's just like, and then it happened like another time before. And I know a lot of people, they always think, oh, that was just coincidence. But it's like, no, there really is power in the thoughts. And even when you say, like, you wish you could say you're a millionaire and you wake up tomorrow and be a millionaire. That was one of the points that she made, like how visualization are the most powerful ways to manifest something. So maybe, it's on the lines of what you just said. Like, you probably, other than just saying it, you have to kind of like mentally visualize your life as a millionaire and probably what it's going to take to get there, etc. I remember when I first, because matter of fact, we were both at the same, we're not going to drop names, but we were at the same real estate brokerage at first. Okay. And I don't know if you remember, like one of the first classes that I took on the new agent training, I always call this the wrong thing, but I call it the perfect day, but it was like a visualization exercise that the trainer was saying. And she was like, imagine yourself, and I haven't done this in a while, but I might want to actually revisit it, but just imagining yourself, like close your eyes and imagine yourself waking up in the morning. Like, what does your day look like? And I just feel like going in line with what that girl said in the video, Nika, I think she said, what's her name? She said not Nike. I remember that. So
Nike. It's Nikki.
Yeah, I think you said it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I hate
or something like that.
But I feel like you have, like, that's key. Visualization is making it a reality.
Yes. I'm silly. So look at this right here. Where this comment. I always love comments, but this comment. He got this little dog up here. He like, so I created this hell I'm living in. I always find that funny. People had those little comments on there, but
you know what? That comment. Speaking on that comment, I have a friend that I hate to say every time I talk about her. Talk to her because we don't talk that often anymore. But let's just say we would both be kind of going through the same thing in life when we would kind of like reconvene. But the one thing I noticed about her was that she would always just be like, I don't even care. Like, it's always going to be something that and I'm just like thinking to myself, with that attitude, it is always going to be something. And I don't think people really realize that. I have, my grandmother, she was 96 when she passed away. She's my great grandmother. And when I used to go visit her, right when I would always leave, I say, all right, grandma, I'll see you later. I'll be back in right now. I'll be back for Thanksgiving, or I'll be back next month. And she's like, what do you come back next month for? And I'll be like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. And she would say, it's always something, right? And it wouldn't be in any negative way. But then I noticed that when people would ask me stuff or stuff would go wrong, I'm like, dang, it's always something. And then I just thought, I was like, you have to stop saying that, because even though you got it from your grandmother who didn't even mean it that kind of way, and the way that you use it, you are attracting
the other one. If it ain't one thing, it's another.
Exactly. So I don't know. I just feel like people don't really understand the power in the words, because it's just hard to prove it, I guess.
So I truly agree with that. And the naysayers typically are naysayers because they don't realize that they consistently speak the negative in their life. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they really realize that that's what happens. They speak the negative in their life. It's just funny how one thing at the beginning of the day can mess your day up, and then it'll mess your day up for the rest of the day, because that one thing will set you off, and you'll just start thinking in a way for the rest of the day that just has your day messed up. I don't have time to argue with fools. I don't have time to if you don't believe it, that's fine. I went to a church that a lot of people when I was growing up would have called a New Age church, and some people called it a cult. When I was growing up, and I will agree that I wasn't that way. I don't feel like I was that way, but I will agree that there were people that went to the church that when you talk to them, you'd be like, man, are you crazy? Like, what I'm saying, like, you kind of Jim Jones in it right now. Because for me, it was always hard for me, probably because my dad wasn't really in my life growing up. It's always been hard for me just to follow a man just because, because my dad wasn't there. So it's like, for me, a lot of stuff that I've learned over the years of being a man has come from experience and not from watching another man do things. Not saying that there were not other men in my life that were influential at times, but I didn't have a consistency. So I had to figure out some things on my own. And I always say that some of us, like some of my friends, we kind of helped each other to grow up and figure out manhood together, because we may not have had those figures around us that we needed to make us better. But I know a lot of people would be like, traditional Christians wouldn't like some of the things that were said at this church, because the church was, speaking the whatever you speak, you can have, and things like that. And a lot of people don't like to believe that, because they feel like, well, it's in the will of God. But I'm one that believes that the will of God is for everyone to succeed. We know everyone won't, but that I don't believe that's something that has anything to do with God. And I'm not talking about the God that's outside that we believe that's sitting up, and I'm talking about the God that's inside of you. You can suppress that God that's inside of you that's trying to get out and do the great things, or you can let it free and you can start walking in those great things. And we're gonna always have problems. There's gonna always be things that happen. Life ain't it ain't just always great. But what you can do is roll with those punches, and really over time, I tell people all the time, like, yeah, there's things that could be better, but am I happy with what I have right now? Yes. Do I want more? Yes. But be thankful for where you at, but continue to work towards getting to where you want to go.
Yeah. And
continue to speak those things that you want to be at. I write things down. I speak things to myself. I think the only problem I probably have and really think about is that you can't make people do certain things. You can only make you can do certain things. So sometimes you do want certain people to do certain things or be around or whatever, and you can't speak that into life. They gotta want that too.
Yeah.
But what you can speak into life is the things that you need to do and get yourself together, so that you can have the things that you need to be successful.
Well, I agree with that. And I like how you related it to church. That's one thing that she kind of did in the video, where, because I feel like most times when you start talking about these types of things, people think that they're like mutually exclusive. That if you believe in quantum physics or anything related to science, then, that's not faith. And, speaking things into existence, like the power of the tongue, so to speak, is not the same as manifestation or the law of attraction, and it's some type of form of blasphemy. But it's like, you can't be holier than thou. You have to be able to realize that all of it is parallel. Like and I hate to jump around, but I didn't want to have to go through all her points. But one thing that she said about how like time is not linear, that's something to kind of think about. Like the way she expressed it, like now is now, your past is now, your future is now. But I think a lot of us get stuck thinking about the past or worrying about our future.
We forever live in all three, and people don't really understand that. I'll give this example of living in all three, or this analogy of it. I guess if that's, I don't know the right word to use there, but if I'm the things that I do today, I'm normally doing them because of something that happened in the past that's making me do that today. And also the things I do today, I'm doing them because I'm trying to look forward to something in the future. So you're always living in that whole frame. The decisions you make today, you base them on something that you did in the past a lot of times, or something that happened to you in the past. And a lot of the decisions you make today also are based on something that you think will happen in the future. A lot of people don't invest money. I know I'm gonna go back to this. I know we're gonna go right. I always got to make that in there, put the wealthy part, the money part in there, right? But some people don't invest in certain things because they're thinking about, if I invest this tomorrow, I might not have no money to do this. So they've made a decision based on something that ain't even happened yet.
Right.
Or if I invest this, I remember when I invested in something 10 years ago and it didn't work out. You made a decision based on some stuff that happened 10 years ago, but it's still ever present in your thought, in your psyche, in your thought process.
Well, let's squirrel off on that for a minute, since we're both in real estate. I think real estate is a perfect example of that, because you said something happened 10 years ago. When was the real estate crash? 2008. So what's that, 17
years ago.
Right. A long time ago. And people are just, oh, well, I believe this is going to happen, or I'm waiting for interest rates to decline. It's like, you're missing out on opportunity today. You need to look at what you can do today, and look at like how that can affect your future versus living in a survivalist mindset.
Yeah, a lot of people are waiting on something to happen that's probably never gonna happen. And the crazy part about it is you're waiting on something to happen that, even if it did happen, when it happened, you're gonna find another reason to not do it.
That part.
You're gonna find another reason. You're gonna say, oh, well, I know the interest rate went down, but the houses are too expensive. We need the houses to go down now. Or if both of them went down, well, I mean, I got this to do. Oh, Lord, if God be willing and the creek don't rise.
Exactly. That's why, I hope, out of this video, I hope people can see that you really can have the life that you want if you stop making excuses and you just kind of get in tune with yourself, change your energy, your frequency.
You surely can.
Just align with what, because I'm gonna go ahead and take it to the Bible. Then how his plans are to prosper you. Like you said, we are all designed to have a good life, and I feel like it doesn't happen because of, again, things that have happened to you and how you possibly guard your heart, or boundaries, quote unquote, that you put in place to kind of protect yourself from, like we just said, you want to hold on to your money because you're scared of losing it, but it also can't grow holding on to it.
No, you can't. You got to do something. You know what I'm saying? And that's just that, not just money. That's I don't want to work out. I don't want to stop eating. I like my food. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anything in your life that you want to do, you gotta not only write it down, speak it. There's many. I'm not one, and then people probably gonna be mad at me when I say this, but I'm not one that necessarily looks at the Bible and be like, it is the unadulterated word of God. It's inspired by God, but men wrote that book. But there's a lot of things in that book that, in most of the stuff in that book, if you actually take it and actually apply it to life, it works. So there's a verse in the Bible that talks about, write the vision and make it plain. You know what I'm saying? There's a verse, my people die because of the lack of knowledge. Those verses are true. That's just real true, right? I mean, I could break down a lot of things in the Bible. There's another verse in the Bible in Deuteronomy that talks about, I've empowered you to get wealth, which means that God, you're not waiting on God. God waiting on you. He already empowered you. It didn't say I can give you power to get wealth. It said I've empowered you to get wealth, which means I've already done it. It's in you now. You got to go do this work.
And you got to believe it and manifest it.
Yeah, you got to go do what it is. It's up to you to go do it. I'm not sitting up here saying everybody gonna be a billionaire, a millionaire, or anything like that. What I am saying though is that everybody can have a comfortable life, another problem that we have as human beings is that we got people that hoard, right? We talked about that in talking about the billionaire series, how people take money and they hoard it. They're not trying to share the wealth. But it's so much, it's so much money out here to be made. And the reason why so much money out here to be made is because they make the money. When money get low, they just go make some more. The money, when people tell me, oh, the value of the money is going down. No, it's really not. Because if the value of the money was going down, people wouldn't be out here killing people for it. So, money, the value is not going down. It's the way, going back to what she talked about, the way you think about money. It's the way that you work for money. It's the way that this right here gives the value to the money. Because if everybody woke up one morning and said money is nothing, it wouldn't be worth nothing.
Exactly. It'd be a piece of paper.
It'd just be a piece of paper with some old white men on it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's all about, it really is all about where your mindset is on it. And really, same thing, like if you're willing to kill somebody over money, it's too prevalent in your head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're willing to hurt somebody or use somebody and abuse somebody over money, it's too prevalent. That money is not that important, right? And that's anything. If you're gonna kill somebody over a chicken sandwich, going back to the Popeyes chicken sandwich days, if you're gonna kill somebody over a chicken sandwich, that chicken sandwich is a little bit too important for you. Like you spilled blood over a chicken sandwich, but that's here.
Yeah, and I think
that's a mentality
of all of it. Like you have to change your thinking, and even like I have a lot of stuff going on right now. Okay, I don't want to talk about it because I might get stressed thinking about it, right? But so like when I wake up in the morning, like today, I'm like, oh my God, you got 2 weeks until your lease ends, right? And I'll just say, I ain't did nothing, ain't packed nothing, ain't applied nowhere, ain't rescheduled nothing. It's crazy, right? And I got so many other things that are going on, and I just woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna work on my patience today. Like whatever happens, happens, because you can say I'm gonna be positive today. I'm not gonna get stressed about anything. It's too much stuff going on. Whatever happens, happens. But this thing, you'll be driving and you'll see something and a negative thought will come out your mouth. And like I caught myself doing that, and I was like, yeah, I think I need to be silent. Like because I pointed out something that was negative. When I thought about it later, I was like, why was that your initial thought? Like when you saw this person, why was that your thought? You couldn't initially find one thing to compliment, just, point out that's positive. Like it's when you specifically try to be positive, something negative is gonna come in your head.
I people watch and I'm silly like that, and I like to make jokes. I'm never trying to be malicious or anything. It's just funny to me. So, I'm
not trying to be malicious neither, because like you said, I don't have time to be arguing with nobody anyway. But like when you notice something, it's like, well, why are you noticing? Why is the first thing that you're noticing something negative versus like I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like.
No, I get what you're saying. I totally
like you still driving that car? It's beat up like that. Like I mean, look, I got a dent in it too, right? But it's like, you know what? Hold up, they driving the car. It's probably
driving the car. They making it work.
Like, why are you worried about? Like, why is that your thought?
Because there's some people that's not driving the car. I can't remember the thing that I was watching. Where it kind of broke down. It was like it was some rich guy, and it just kind of went through phases of things, right? And it was like a rich guy that was mad at his car or whatever. And it was a nice car, but it was, it was something. And then they showed this other guy that had like this hoopty, and he was looking at that man's car like, ooh, I wish I had that car. And then the guy with the hoopty, it was a dude on a bike looking at him like, ooh, I wish I had that car. And then there was a dude walking that was looking at the dude on the bike like, man, I wish I had that bike.
Yeah.
And then it was a dude that didn't have no legs that was looking at the dude walking like, ooh, I wish I had those legs. It was, and it just went down this progression of how everybody wished that they were at another level, but nobody was thankful for where they were at. Yeah. Nobody was really thankful for where they were at and what they had at that moment. The only person in that thing that I could tell you was this, because I think the guy with the legs, it went to somebody that he was in a wheelchair, but he didn't have no legs. But I think it went to somebody that couldn't move. They were in a hospital bed. They couldn't move, and it was like, you know, I wish I could do what he doing. You know what I'm saying? And the last one, if I remember correctly, was a dude about to die, and he was looking at the dude in the hospital bed, saying, "I wish I was him."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it went all the way down to the last common thing. The last thing was the worst, like you about to die.
Yeah.
And nobody was thankful. The only person in that whole line was the person that's about to die that should be like, and even him, if you just want to take it on a thing, he was an older guy. From what I could tell, he was an older guy, probably in his 60s or 70s. And even him was not thankful for the life that you've led. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it might be your time, but what did you do in your life? And are you happy where you're at? You know, I would like to think that when I pass away, you know, I would like to hope that I've done or my life, I've done some things in my life that I can say, look back and say, you know what, I maybe I've done everything I wanted to do, but I did enough.
Right.
And that's I think that's, you know, what Les Brown used to talk about, dying empty. You know, you don't, you know, so many, his main thing would always be like, if you go to a cemetery, there's so many dreams that have been buried in the cemetery. Yeah. And so that sat with me when I first heard it some 15 years ago. And he had said it years before that, but that was the first time I heard it. And that sat with me. And I think from that point on, I went to about the business of trying to make things happen that I wanted to happen. You know, I could say there's so many more things I want to do. But if something was to happen and I was on my deathbed and I had a chance to look over my life, I could say that for me, I've probably done more things than most. And there's a lot of people that have done more things than me. But is there things that I want to still do, but would I be necessarily happy where I'm at? The only thing I think that I would be unhappy is that I wouldn't be here to see grandkids and stuff like that.
Well, we're not going to speak that into this.
No, we're not speaking that. I'm just saying that maybe that was kind of morbid, but I just, you know, I do work in a field where you see death, and my thing is I want to live on purpose every day.
We're going to visualize that, is all I'm saying.
You say what?
We said we're going to visualize that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I want to live on purpose every day. I want to live in a place where I'm doing everything I need to do to make sure that I'm trying to get to that level of where I want to be at. So even if I never get there, I think I feel good. When I go to sleep at night, I typically feel good about my day. There's some days when I be like, "Ooh, I needed to get this done. I didn't get it done." But most times when I go to bed, I'm typically okay. I've done a lot, and I've done the things that I needed to do. I've done the things that I had to do, and I've done some of the things that I wanted to do.
That's a good place to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's even when you don't do everything, especially because I know some of the things you have on your plate. So like it's almost unrealistic.
It is. But I tend to believe that if your goal doesn't make you be like, damn, how I'm gonna get this done, then it's not a big enough goal. You know,
I'm gonna take that. Because that's what I need. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do all of this in 2 weeks, but I'm still optimistic it's gonna happen.
Yeah. If your goal is not, damn, how I'm gonna get this done, if it doesn't blow your mind, then the goal probably is too small. I'm not saying that you're gonna make all your goals there, and I'm not saying that you can't change goals along the way.
Right.
That's things that you can do along the way. I think going back to her, what she was saying was, you know, like living in that time, you know what I'm saying? Things change as you go. Different things come up. You see different things. You get different opportunities. And those opportunities may make you see something in your life and yourself that you didn't think you saw before. And you like, okay, yeah, you know what, I can do this now. You know what I'm saying? Or I can maneuver this way. But that's what it's all about, right? Figuring out what's the next move, and still the funny thing is, a lot of times, even though you shift to something else, that original thing you may shift this way, but some kind of way you come back around and you meet it.
Yeah.
And it all ends up coming back together. So I think that's the important thing that we have to think about when we're looking at that. I think I told you about something I felt like that was related to that. Is this book right here? This book right here, Messages in Water, The Hidden Messages in Water. And the one thing I found in this book was so I'm just showed, I think if you can see that crystal, that picture right there, that is a crystal, that is a picture of a crystal that was in some water that they froze. And from what the book was saying was that they spoke positive to the water. And when they spoke positive to the water, it made these pretty crystals. You know, it made these very great looking things. And then when they spoke negative to water, I'm trying to find something in here when they spoke negative to water, how it looked. I think here go. I think I'm gonna show you this. There was something where there was an earthquake, and these are the shapes. These are the shapes that came up from the earthquake, especially that top one, where it's just is no real shape to it, and that is just indicative of the water. Even speaking to water shows if I speak to this water the right way, it will form something pretty or form something great. And it's the same thing with you. If you speak to yourself the right way, you'll start forming something great.
And I'm glad you said that, because that reminds me of something else that I heard. It wasn't in that video, but how if you're always just speaking, okay, say you're looking in the mirror in the morning and you're like, oh my goodness, like I got another mole. I don't like this mole. If you don't ever speak anything positive out loud about yourself, or if you're constantly pointing out negative things about yourself, that's all that your subconscious hears you saying about yourself. So yeah, you have to speak. I mean, it's just so powerful. Again, like even when you talk about the water, I can't even fathom that. I'm like, how can water create something? It doesn't even really make sense to me, to be honest, right? But I think that's kind of like the beauty of life too. Some things just can't be explained, and you do have to just kind of trust and have faith. And I think that's what really makes life worthwhile. I feel like if you get so caught up in what you see around you, it can easily distract you.
Yeah. I go back, we'll go back to church real quick. And I go to church. I go back to church a lot of times because that's where I grew up in a Christian church, right? I may not necessarily follow Christianity anymore because of what I've learned over the years and my issues with what Christianity has been used to do to people, especially my people, our people, Black people. But there, like I said, there's anything that you can take something out of anything, right? And so, I look at the Bible, and you can see people can go to church and they'll praise God, and it does something to them, right? It makes them feel better about what they could be going through hell, and they can go to church and praise God, and it does something to them, that energy of praising God. And I always used to tell people, like, praising God has nothing to do with God per se. God, because there's a verse in the Bible where God says, hey, if you don't praise me, I'll get the rocks to praise me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but it says the rocks will cry out for me. If you won't praise me, I can make the rocks cry out for me. So even the rocks have energy. The crystals, when people talk about crystals and stuff like that, those things and the energy, a lot of people carry crystals on them because they feel like there's an energy from that. But I always believe this is that belief, their belief that crystal has something that helps them to get over, is the reason why they get over. the crystal itself probably does have energy to it. I'm not gonna take that away from the crystal, but it's your belief in that energy. It's your power, your mind power that's making it happen for you. And I think we don't realize how important it is that this mind, if you think, like you said, I'm gonna keep saying this, if you think negatively, you're not gonna get the things you want. If you have what we like to talk about, just to put it back into a full circle, wealthy thoughts. If you have wealthy thoughts about yourself, then yes, if you have the thoughts that I am healthy, that I am, you'll start working. Like I said, it's the speaking to yourself that makes your body start saying, hey, well, if you're going to speak this, then we got to start working towards this. I got to go work out. I got to wake up in the morning so that I can get that exercise in, that 20, 30 minutes of movement in. I got, you know what? I can't keep eating fried chicken every day as much as I love it. I can't keep eating it every day. You know what I'm saying? I can't just eat meat. I need to put some fiber in me so that I can go to the bathroom the way I need to go to the bathroom, just to break it down to what it is. But it's, I'm going to be wealthy. I'm going to have this amount of money. Your mind starts thinking, okay, well, how do I make this happen? How you start waking up with ideas of, oh, you know what? I know how to do this. I probably can make this happen. I know somebody right now that just one day she'll wake up and she'll be like, Randy, I was thinking about blah 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 blah, and she'll go make that shit happen. Like, she'll literally go and start putting that shit together and make it happen, make her a couple dollars off of it, and it helps her get extra money. It makes her feel good about herself because she's done something that at the end of the day she didn't even think she could do before, but she just, because she has a thought process of, I know I got to get some things done and I know I can get them done, then ideas just come up.
Exactly.
The man just start thinking of ideas. Hey, the subconscious starts saying, okay, well, you know how to do this. You need to go figure that out. What happens is, if we don't do it, when we talk ourselves down, going back to the interest rates ain't where I need them to be at yet. Well, yeah, you're never going to buy a house.
Right.
Because the interest rate probably never, it's just like people tell me, when I hear a brother telling me, well, I ain't ready to be married yet. Okay, why? Because my money ain't right. Okay, well, what does it take to get your money right? Because most likely when you get there, you're still going to be finding a reason to not want to be married. And I'm not saying just get married, and be broke. I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is that that's not the excuse.
Right. Do something about it.
Because your money is messed up. I know, like for instance, there's people I know that, you don't need to be married. They're young people, and you don't need to be married. Your money ain't, you ain't gonna be able, and I'll even be honest with myself. Like, probably when I got married for the second time, I didn't need to be married. I thought I could make some things happen that I didn't make happen right then. Was I willing to work towards it? Yes, but I probably didn't need to be married. I probably needed to hold off and get a couple things together a little bit more. And things may have been maybe a little bit better for me. At the end of the day, you make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes, and stuff like that. But what I am saying is that you can't base your life off of I ain't ready because this ain't where it needs to be at. Because you'll never be ready to have a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You'll never be totally ready to have a kid. You just got to go do it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying go have a kid at 16 years old.
I watched that message, but anyway, I got you. Right?
No, there's balance to everything, right?
Yeah.
So I ain't saying somebody need to go have a baby at 16 years old. But if you're an adult and you're dating or married to somebody and y'all talking about y'all gonna be together, and you sit up here, well, this ain't the time to necessarily have a kid. Yeah, I get it. When you first get married, you might want to chill for a year, get to know each other a year or two. But, the older you get, the more you don't want to have little kids running around. And I know.
I know, because, I be loving my life. I'm like, I
older
really
you get, you don't want to have little kids running around. You want it's
freedom.
a wonderful thing to have your kids and they out the house by the time you 45, 50, about to go into those years of, okay, I'm almost on the downside of my career and I can start traveling. But yeah, I can't try. I still got kids that got to get through like high school and stuff like that. It's, so I'm not saying I can't travel, but what I am saying is that it is a little bit more difficult, especially if you're not multi-millionaire status.
Yeah, I guess the only 2 cents I wanted to add about that, just because the way it was said,
Mm-hmm.
just make sure if you want kids, you want them for the right reason.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
And like, if there's certain things in your lifestyle that kids not gonna fit in, then don't just be having kids.
Yeah, true. That's why I say it's got to be a balance to it and
Exactly.
everything like that. But I tend to believe that most people that don't want kids, they just don't want kids. But there's people that be running around here talking about, oh, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and they find all these back to what we were talking about. They find all these reasons of why they can't do it, and you're always gonna find a reason of why you can't do something. You're gonna always find a reason why you can't start that business. You're gonna always find a reason of why you can't. Oh, I don't have time to read this book. You're gonna always have a reason. Oh, I don't have time to go on this trip. I'm not saying put yourself in a bind. But I am saying save your money up so that you can go on a trip or two a year. Even if it's a road trip, even if it's getting in a car and just driving somewhere, save your money up so you can go do that. If that's what you got to do. Everybody ain't making, huh?
I said, and keep it to yourself.
Yeah,
like you said, because you got to watch what you tell people too, because then
everybody ain't making six figures. Everybody ain't making 250,000 a year. Everybody ain't making 500,000 a year. The median in America is what, $52,000 a year. That's the median, something like that. That's just one person. Most households only bring in about, I think the average household in America only brings in about $80,000 a year. So yeah, you got to save up some money. You got to live a little bit differently. But I'm not saying that. Can you go on a trip? Can you treat if it's a staycation? If it's going about 30 minutes up north from where you live at to somewhere and just getting away from it all, that's still a trip. We so busy, like I said, it's all in your mind. We so busy waiting to go to Indonesia or somewhere like that and try to do all these big things, when sometimes you got to make Indonesia at home until you can really get to Indonesia. Sometimes you got to go and get in that Benz that you want to drive, in that Maybach that you want to drive, in that Rolls Royce that you want to drive one day. Sometimes you just got to go put on the suit, go up there and act like you can do it, and ask them to let you sit in the car. And you sit in the car and imagine yourself driving that thing, and maybe it'll get you to the point you might not get the Benz. Maybe you just get a newer car.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you working your way towards that. A lot of people don't, I don't think we understand the value of working towards something. We only want to see the end. We only want to see, I'll just break it down to a college degree. We celebrate the college degree. We don't celebrate all the tests, all the assignments that a person had to do to get to that college degree. All the sacrifices the person had to make to get to that college degree. We don't celebrate that. We don't even talk about that. We just talk about, oh, you got your college degree. But there was so many triumphs leading up to that college degree. That is the major accomplishment. But there was triumphs along the way. There was battles along the way that you won to finally win the war. And I don't think we think about those things. Again, going back to the quantum physics, those are things that you have to think about along the way. You have to be thankful for the process, the journey. As the Philadelphia, don't be like Philadelphia 76ers, trust the process and then nothing ever happened. But trust the process and make something happen.
Yeah, I can feel that. I agree.
Yeah, trust the process and make something happen. It's still up to you. To me, it's in my mind, it's still up to me. I got to make it happen. But
I think that's the key. All of it's up to you. Because even when you said like the celebrating the wins along the way, and I don't mean to be negative, even though I just said what I said earlier, right? But I just feel like it's almost unrealistic to expect other people to do that for you. Because we all have things going on, right?
It is unrealistic. You got to go. Oh, you know what?
I'm proud of myself.
Proud of myself. You know, I remember when I first was trying to lose weight. Back in the day, I was at like 220 something, 225, and I was trying to get down. And I remember getting a trainer, and the trainer told me, they said, "Hey, this is how you need to eat all week. On Friday, treat yourself. If you do what you're supposed to do all week, on Friday, treat yourself to a cheat meal.
Okay.
Whatever it is you like, eat that one, have that one meal, and then get right back to it.
One meal, not one day.
Not one day, that one meal. If that's Popeye's chicken, for me, it's Popeye's chicken, one of those, but one of those biscuits and everything. So that was my cheat meal. Okay. Sometimes it might have been pizza. That was my cheat meal. Sometimes it might have been me cooking myself some fried chicken or something, you know, because I love my fried chicken. So
me too. Don't tell nobody I said that because I'm trying to get that vegan. But anyway, go ahead.
You know, but that was my cheat meal, right? And then, you know, and then I became, you know, for a minute I went vegan. I'm not vegan, but vegetarian. I never went vegan, but for a minute I went vegetarian, and I didn't have cheat meals because I was vegetarian. I wouldn't eat no meat at all. But even then, to kind of help myself, I would go and get some red beans and rice from Popeyes and ask them to, you know, make sure I didn't have the meat in it.
Okay.
Or find somewhere that had a good red beans and rice, and just got it. That was my cheat meal. Because it's kind of fat, you know, the way they make it at down south make it, you know, the way the New Orleans guys make it, it ain't necessarily healthy for you. So that was my cheat meal. I found a way to have me another cheat meal, or it may have been okay, I'm gonna have a meal, but I'll have a snack. And my snack would have been an Oreo cookie because Oreos are quote unquote vegan, right? So I would have Oreos. I'd give me a pack of Oreos, not the whole big pack, but you know, one of those personalized packs, and eat that. You know what I'm saying? And that was my celebration for doing right.
Yeah.
You know, I done gained some weight back, and maybe I need to go back into getting myself back to that. But I still work out regularly. I still do those things. So I'm not necessarily unhappy with where I'm at. I just, you know, when you're doing a lot of stuff, sometimes one thing that goes by the wayside is your eating habits.
Yes. And your physical activity.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back on it though. But
yeah.
But it's interesting because based on what you said, well, something earlier that you said, it made me think about a quote that I heard recently that said, "Poor is a mindset, and broke is," I think it said, "temporary." So I feel like you have to kind of like how you're talking about, like it's all mental. Because when I've talked about people, not maliciously, just in facts, right? But if I talk about somebody like, "Oh, you broke," or anybody that I think about, or I say that they're broke, I'm never really talking about anybody's financial situation because one, I don't know everybody's financial situation. That's the one thing that people usually keep to themselves. They can look like they have money and have a whole bunch of credit card debt and be what they say, robbing Peter to pay Paul, etc. Right? But I do feel like if you can't really get your thoughts to be positive, like if your thoughts are really just broken down and everything is no hope, just despair, then that is the life that you're going to have. And
no doubt.
I've quoted Julian Gordon before, and like the first kind of part that I heard of that was because he talks about owning multifamily as like a way to increase your wealth. And in one of his books, he said, if you don't own your mental real estate, you can't own any physical real estate. And I just apply that to all life. Like, yeah, he was talking about a physical property that you can live in, but I think that just applies to anything across the board because if you're in your mind, like you've already lost.
Yeah,
it happens. I mean, it's life when you think about the things that life is a roller coaster. Okay, you could be on a high, like, oh, I did this, so I know I can do this, or I'm good at this, so I know I'm gonna be great at this. And then things could come at you like a ton of bricks, and it's almost like, I don't know how this gonna work. Like,
I do believe life is a roller coaster, but I'm going back to the thoughts, right, and the thinking and speaking to yourself and stuff like that. I believe that's why you have to write stuff down.
mm-hmm.
I don't, and I'm talking about writing. I ain't talking about typing it in your phone. That's cool. Not saying anything wrong with that, but there's something to writing with your own hand, with a pen, seeing your own handwriting that does something to your mind. I can't explain it. I don't have the science behind it. I could just tell you when I see something that I wrote and look back at it from 5-10 years ago and be like, man, I wrote that, and then I see that it came true. It's like, damn, I wrote that. I said that was gonna happen. It's a difference when I type something in and when I write it. And I would even say, writing lyrics, stuff like that. Like I still like to write in the pen and pad because it's just something about writing it that to me does something better. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know the science behind it. I don't know that, but I do know that writing is important. And there's a reason why, if you go in those pyramids in Egypt, there's a reason why there's still hieroglyphics on the wall. There's a reason they wrote that stuff. They could have just passed it down by word. They didn't have to draw the pictures and draw the They could have just said it by word, but they felt a need to keep a record. And there's a reason why we keep record. I feel like in many ways this, digital is great, but in many ways we're getting away from a lot of things to quote unquote save paper and stuff like that. But I feel like somebody can go in and change what you typed. They can't go and change what you wrote.
That's a fact.
They can't go and change that. No one can come and change the words that's in this book. I know these are typed words, but this book was written out and no one can change the words that's in this book. But if this book is digital, they can go in here and change all the words.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that people remember to write down the things that they hear their mind saying to them, hear from inside their spirits. It's important to write those things down. It's important to understand that if I write this down, I got a written record of it. If it's not documented, we always say that if it ain't documented, it didn't happen. But I think that document has to be something for you personally that you wrote out, that you can see, that you can look at and be like, I wrote this, I did this, and you start working towards it. And I do think that leads you towards that. When we was talking about the roller coaster, that leads you to you going up, and that leads you to not having such steep plateaus, because you never should go up and then have a plateau that take you all the way down further than where you came from. It maybe go down a little bit, but then you should be coming back up.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we all have to work on, including myself. I've had times when it was like, man, I've had times when everything around me was going great, but because I had something going on here, I couldn't even celebrate the stuff that was going great because I had something going on in my mind that just had me bound up.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even celebrate all the stuff that was going great at that time. And so I try my best to remember, okay, let's celebrate the stuff that was good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yes, this may be on my mind right now, but let's celebrate the stuff that was good, because as people always say, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And that's just what's gonna happen. It will pass, and it will pass because you said it was gonna pass, and you're gonna work towards it. I'm gonna always say work towards something, because I do believe there's action that you have to have towards your faith.
Absolutely.
The Bible also talks about,
Faith without
without action, faith is dead. Without action, faith is dead. So I do believe that you have to put some action to these words that you're speaking, this timeline that you're trying to change, or timeline you're trying to shift into. If we want to go that route, when they start talking about these different timelines, like she said, at all at the same time, you could be healthy, not healthy, rich, not rich, and all this could be on these could be on separate timelines happening at the same time. Which timeline are you going to be living in? A lot of nerds, and since I went to a nerd school when I was in high school, a lot of nerds talk about the multiverse and the Marvel multiverse and all that type of stuff. But people don't make up this stuff for no reason. If people are thinking about this, there's something to it.
Yeah.
And if multiple people are thinking about this multiple thing, there's something to it more than just, it's a coincidence. Okay. I will say this, I don't think for a minute that every church in the world on what we like to call New Year's Eve have a New Year's Eve service, and then you could go and talk to small churches, large churches, and their pastor kind of spoke. If they remember what their pastor talked about, because a lot of people just go to church just to go to church, they don't remember what their pastor said. But if they remember what their pastor talked about, a lot of times it's funny how you'll talk to them and they were all talking about damn near the same thing. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think they all got on the phone. I don't think a pastor of a 20,000 member church got on the phone with a pastor of a 500 member church and was like, "Hey, I'm talking about this tonight. You should talk about it too, so we look like we heard from God." I don't think the people doing that. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there's something in the air, something in the universe, something in the spirit that is telling them this is what needs to be talked about, because this is what my people need to hear. And I don't think that's a coincidence. So when going back to the beginning, when you said, what do people say? That's, the naysayer says it's a coincidence. Okay. I mean, you can believe it's coincidence. I know there's something wrong with certain things that people do and stuff like that, but we can believe it's a coincidence. But I also believe that the universe, God, the higher being, whatever you want to call it, supreme being, whatever you decide to call God, Jehovah, whatever.
Okay.
I do believe that that he has something to say to his people, and if you listen to it and you go about speaking it, those things will come to life for you.
I agree.
Yeah, I do believe that. So that was a good topic. That was a great topic that you brought up today, because I mean, it is, again, back to wealthy thoughts, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
the power of thinking,
the wealthy thoughts,
control,
think success. Since I'll just do a shameless plug.
Okay.
I'll do a shameless plug, like my book, Think Success.
Okay, now.
You know what I'm saying? You can get it on Amazon.
Right on point.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can get it on Amazon, right? I have 2 other books back there. Those books are more like life scripts where you can go in there and write affirmations and gratitude. But again, it's all about those things are there so you can change the way that you think. If you are a person that get up every morning and think negatively about what's going on in your life, you need to go get you a journal and start writing all the things that's going good.
Yes.
Even if you can only think of one thing today, I can guarantee you, if you do that every day, by the end of the week, you'll at least probably come up with 7.
That's all you need. Look,
and if you can focus on those 7, you'll start finding other things to be thankful about. Because the first thing you can be thankful for is that you woke up to have another day. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I do understand. I can't speak for the person that woke up in there and they don't have limbs and they can't walk or stuff like that. I can't speak for those people. I can't even. It's hard for me. I can empathize. But I can't fathom it, right? Because I wake up every day with my limbs. I'm not trying to take away from nobody's. I can't speak for the person that wake up out on the street in the cold. It was cold. It snowed here on Monday. It was snowing. I ain't saying it stuck, but it was snowing here on Monday. And I can't speak for the person that had to be out in the cold and deal with that. But what I can say is that I've run calls on homeless people and stuff like that, and I've seen some homeless people that have had better dispositions on life than people I know that go to work every day and make money.
Exactly.
And
you know, some people, not to like minimize it, but some people choose to be homeless.
Yeah, some people do.
Yeah.
Some people do.
I mean, yeah.
And I, you know, and I just, you know, I have to take into account, like I think I've told you this story before, and I've said this story before about going to a man's house. He asked me to walk into his house, and he had this pristine white carpet, and my shoes was dirty, and I wouldn't step on it because I've been working out in the yards all day long. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Boy, if you don't come up off in this house," you know, because he was an older gentleman. I was in my 20s. He's like, "Boy, if you don't bring your ass up off in this house and get this check from me," he was like, and he basically told me, he's like, you know, if this carpet means more to me than human life, I don't need this shit. Mm-hmm. That was his exact words. That sat with me. I've been living off that for 20 something years now.
Right.
Because that was a moment for me. It was like, damn, you know, because the things that he had were things I was trying to get at that time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I fast forwarded to buying a new car. My little niece, you know, she looked at the car and she was in awe of the car, and I was like, this is just a regular ass car to me. You know what I'm saying? I got bigger dreams than this car. You know what I'm saying? But it was amazing to her. I bought this new car. My big cousin bought this new car, and I said niece, but my cousin, my big cousin, my little cousin, my big cousin bought this new car, and she was like, "You gonna put this food in this car and blah blah blah?" And I had to tell her that story because I was like, my mom wants this food. And if this food get on the seat, you know what we got? We got stuff that can clean it.
Yeah.
I don't care nothing about that. I would rather make my mama happy to bring this food home that she wants than to worry about this car getting dirty. It'll be all right. We'll get it clean. It's fine. There's detailers for that.
Right. With that being said, I'm sure your book kind of talks about that too. Like a lot of people want to succeed. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is so we can have financial freedom, stability, all that stuff. But your main goal, your reason for it all should never be money.
It should never. Yeah, it shouldn't be. It should be. It should be to give you. Money is the byproduct, right? Mm-hmm. Money is what you need. You need some money to give you some breathing room. You need some money to make sure your kids eat well, live well. You need those things, but you know, I have dreams that yes, I want to do certain things. I want to travel. I want to do all these things, but I also want to. I'm not going to speak everything I want to do, but I also want to do things for the homeless. Also, I'm not going to tell my vision. If somebody want to do it, let God give it to them and they can do it. And that's fine. If I never do it, they can do it, but I'm not going to get my vision out on here. But I have dreams of doing things for the homeless. I have dreams of doing things for kids, you know, starting certain things up for kids, for children, to help them out. And I'm talking about children from, you know, all ages, from, you know, starting school to 18. I have things that I want to do for children or whatever. And I'm not shy to say I want it to be for Black children. The things I want to do for homeless is for Black men. I'm not shy to say that because that's just where I'm at. I don't know, you know, if it's not me being racist, it's not me being anything. No one does anything for us a lot of times, but us.
Yeah.
And so it's you know, if I say I want to start something for people that look like me, I'm not saying other people can't be a byproduct of that and get something from it, but it is for people that look like me.
Right.
You know, so and those are the things I want to do, and it takes money to do those things, and I don't want to do them where I got to get grants from the government to do them and stuff like that, because you know, the borrower is servant to the lender, and if you get grants from them, they're going to tell you what you're going to do with your program, and I don't want nobody telling me what to do with my program. You know what I'm saying? I want to, if you want to give to my program, fine. But that's my program, so I'm gonna run it the way that I believe that it should be ran. But if I take money from a grant, I got to do it the way the grant says do. So I don't want to do that. And so it takes money. And I want to have enough money to where when I do it, I'm not begging nobody. I don't want to be online like Dr. Umar talking about I'm trying to start a school that I've started for the last 15 years. You know, and I love Dr. Umar. I'm not trying to talk shit about Dr. Umar, right? I don't know what his issue is with the school, and I can't speak on that. I know people feel like he grifted and people feel like he stole. And if he did that, that's between him and his God. I ain't got time for that, right? I think I gave a couple dollars to it at one time, and then when I seen nothing was happening, I was like, well, I had good intentions on my giving. Nothing happened. I'm gonna leave it alone. You know, hopefully maybe one day he'll do it. I'm not gonna sit up here and be mad at the man, because I will say that he has put out a lot of content that has helped a lot of people. Just like some of these churches out here have done things that have helped a lot of people, although some of these churches don't want to give formula to a woman who with a baby crying in the background.
I feel you on that, but look, it's just been on my heart to say it. I wasn't gonna say it right now, but you keep talking about these churches, and I just want to tell you, I miss Atlanta, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna stay here in Charlotte. But every Sunday that I watch Eagles Nest Church in Alpharetta, Georgia, I'll be like, dang, I want to go back, because so that really is a good church. Like, if you are open to, like, you know, like, hey, I want to give them a try, give a church a try.
Where's Eagles Nest at?
Well, I want to say they're in Alpharetta.
Okay.
They're at Centennial High School right now while they're building their new.
Oh, I know where Centennial High School is. I used to work down there.
Is that Alpharetta or Roswell? Because I think they were in Roswell first, and then they were in Alpharetta. But then they moved since I moved here.
I thought Centennial was in Alpharetta.
I think it is. Yeah.
Or no, I'm thinking about another school. I'm sorry. No, I don't know where Centennial is. Now that I think about it, that's another school I'm thinking about. No,
but it's a really, really good church. And I feel like, I think you would actually like it, because Pastor Lee, he's the senior pastor, and he just has an incredible story.
Now, if I went out there, it would be to visit. I'm not driving an hour to go to church. That's foolishness.
You know what? You entitled to your own opinion. But even when I moved to, so I found out about them when I lived in Sandy Springs, and they were originally in Roswell. And then I moved to Lawrenceville, and I was still driving to Alpharetta.
That's good for you. I'm not.
That is good for me. Look, it was just that.
Anybody that does it, for me, that's foolishness. For you, if that works for you, great. Do what works
if you get in bed.
For me, in my mind, that I'm not doing it. I'll go visit. You know what I'm saying? There's a pastor here that that was the youth pastor at my church back in the day. I never really was going to church when he was the youth pastor. I may have went and visited a few times. But at that time I had kind of stopped. My mom, once I got kind of like 10th, 11th grade, my mom didn't really make me go to church. So I didn't really go as much and stuff like that. And I started going back to church again when I got about 22. I had some things going on in my life that at the end of the day, thank God that I'm still here, right? So but around 22, I started going back to church and stuff like that. And he wasn't the youth pastor at that time. But he has a church down here, and that church is literally an hour drive for me. I'm not going to that church every week. That's just not going to happen. I don't care. Well, at least Jesus would have to be in the pulpit with you every week. And I mean, I have to see him. I ain't talking about you talking about he in here in the spirit. I need to see Jesus sitting there, black with the bronze feet and the hair of wool. I need to see him sitting there for me to come and drive an hour to see. Because I'm not going an hour to see.
I'm trying to tell you something, but I get it. No pressure.
But I will go visit. I will promise you that I will go visit. I don't mind going to visit somewhere.
You know what? Mm-hmm. They stream on YouTube, so
they do. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, like writing, just like I was talking about writing earlier. Going to church and watching it on YouTube, it's not the same when you go and actually feel the vibe.
I agree.
You know, vibes are important to me. I think you need to step in a building and see what people doing. It's a church. I'm not gonna name this church. It's close to where I live at right now, and you probably could go online and be like, oh yeah, that's a good church. And then I went in there and the vibe was all off. Very you know, a lot of the men had a soft spirit to me. So you know what I'm saying, like, again, to each their own, right? I mean, you know, this ain't no knock to the LGBT community, but I don't want to go to a church that I don't want to go to a church where that's prevalent at. I just,
you don't sound like you want to go to a church. We just leave it at, let me leave you alone.
I don't.
Church. You've been to church.
Look, this is my thing. I have no problem with visiting any church, right?
Right.
But I'm not.
You're not looking for a church home right now.
I probably won't be looking for a church home the rest of my life.
Okay.
You know, I probably won't be looking for a church home the rest of my life. I talk to people about God every day. I mean, not every day, but I talk to people about God regularly. I read my Bible every day.
I'm not judging.
I pray to God every day, but church for me, it's hard for me to deal with a lot of things that I see in church. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that most church, I'm not saying that, I don't think most people get into church to do wrong. I don't think most pastors get in church to do wrong. I think most pastors get in church to do right. But I do think that traditions and the tradition of man makes the word of non-effect, right? So there's traditions, that men tend to follow is what for me makes church of non-effect. Right. And that's just me. But have I been to church where I'm like, okay, they got a good vibe here, but I'm telling you, in the last probably 10 years, I've been to a few churches where I'm like, okay, it's a great vibe here. It ain't made me want to join. It ain't made me want to join. I got so much other stuff that I'm doing that I'm not about to join your church and you make me feel like, oh, you need to be in here serving the church and doing this. And no, I'm good. And so for me, I'll go visit churches when I have time. But I have in my mind a ministry that I'm following myself. You know what I'm saying? The ministry of making sure my kids are good. The ministry of doing this show and putting out information that ain't on some bullshit, right? You know what I'm saying? It's putting out information that is literally, that I feel like if you listen to it will help you. I feel like, my ministry of people call me all the time trying to get information and talk about stuff. And I don't hide that information. I could hoard information and not give people information worried about if they're going to go take that information and make money. I want you to go take that information and make money. I want your life to be better so your kids' life can be better. That's my impact on the community. Even if it's just a small impact, that's my impact on the community. So that's my ministry. And for me, it's kind of hard my years in church, my years of dealing with church foolishness has made it where it's like, I'm not mad at the church or anything. I think that many churches do great things. I really do. But I don't see like I said, I've served at churches. I've done all those things. And even today, if somebody called me and said, hey, I need you to help me out, and I prayed about it and I felt like it was something I should do, I'd be up there helping. You know what I'm saying? But it's only going to be for a little while. I'm not going to your church forever. I'm here to help. And that's it. I'm here to help you. And in my helping, I'm going to help you to get somebody to take my place. Because that's what leadership is, right? Leadership is training somebody to take over what you've done. You're not going to be there forever. You're not going to be able to be there forever. And I would almost say, I remember, my old church people would always talk about how great it was and how they get in the word. And I'd be like, well, what are you doing with this word but sitting up here hoarding it? Have you gone out to help somebody else? Have you gone out to help one of these other small churches that you don't think is giving out the word to help them give out the word in the way that you've learned it? Are you going out to do anything else? Because to me, if you just hear it, the church, people always say the church is a hospital. Well, the hospital is supposed to heal you. You're not supposed to stay in there and stay sick. I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna leave that right there. I know people. I have a lot of friends that be like, "Boy, stop it," but that's just how I feel. I feel like I'm not about to sit here and be sick and with you in the hospital. I'm gonna go out and give my talents to other people outside of here. That's me. That's where I'm at. So tell the people how to get in contact. I thank you for this. I'm waiting on your next idea. Tell the people how to get in contact with you.
Don't.
That's
I got
hilarious.
stuff to do, but I'll let you know on the next one.
After the 2 weeks, after you finish whatever you got to finish these 2 weeks, tell the people how to get in contact with you.
No, I'm joking, for real. Instagram @Spice Realty. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that. I got some things I need to do, so I'm not gonna make no promises because, like she said, just keep it to yourself and just pop out, show out. So,
I got that. I did. That was probably, I didn't talk about what I didn't agree with that, and that was probably one thing I probably kind of a little bit disagree with. I do think you do have to tell some people. You have to have a good collective circle around you. Your small circle. Jesus had 12, but then in that 12, he had like 2 or 3 that he really connected with. Mm-hmm. And I think in your small circle, you do have to share some of those things for sometimes just for accountability purposes. So I that's just my caveat to that. But you can reach me at Randy R. Graham on IG, also on YouTube through our page, the Wealthy Thoughts page. Also, if you go to Randy R. Graham, you will find my phone number, which is 404-438-7113. You can call me about any type of real estate needs or anything like that. And on that, you can also find a link to find all the other things that I am doing as far as book writing and some of my old music and things like that. That's that. So so look, in next month when we get back on here, I want to hear your report about how everything went. And let me ask you this, though. I'll ask you when we get off of here. But thank you guys for joining us. Those people that are watching this, thank you for joining us. Like you said, if you need anything in the North Carolina area as far as real estate, what area? I'm sorry, tell me the city again.
I'm in Charlotte. Okay. Charlotte. But if you need some help in North Carolina, I do have a network of teams.
Okay. So you need anything in the North Carolina area, you need to get with Spice Realty, Spice Realty. And if you need anything in Atlanta, Detroit, Texas, you need anything in those areas, because I got people in Texas that I can get you with. I definitely got people in Detroit that I can get you with, because that is the hometown 313, baby. So if you need anything there, we can get with you. Look, we done. We'll be back in about a month or so. Thank you for joining us. Peace.
E on me music, baby.
E on me music.
In the back of a 77, lacked a deal. I was conceived on leather seats with smooth beats that still resonate through my soul. I never hesitate to flow cold, illuminate through your peepholes and detonate on black foes. These neonates been born, but still sworn to their childish ways. Slaves without chains, cause they minds is haze. Spirits ablaze, soldiers who don't know who to fight. So-called leaders with cliches told you to love everything that's white. So when we get on, we leave goddesses for white girls. God, this is not the right world. God, this is some shit. We need to stop pretending this, cause ain't shit about them motherfuckers that's supremacists. Behind closed doors, fear genders, I suppose. Bio warfare composed, and we rather believe conspiracy when it's exposed. We'd rather complain that we not treated the same. But to wanna be like rapists, murderers, and thieves, that's just insane. You gon' learn today. Every time I step to the mic and push play, I make your mind go crazy. Give you some shit that's real. My legendary status been sealed. E on me music, giving you some shit you can feel. You gon' learn today. Every time I step to the mic and push play, I make your mind go crazy. Give you some shit that's real. My legendary status been sealed. Ray Kane in the journal, giving you some shit you can feel.